You have the free will to choose how you're going to conduct your emotions, thoughts, and actions to create this magnetic and gravitational field that creates the matter, so you can shift of the timeline reality that you wish to create, because you're the creator. The way you were told that you have to see it to believe it. In the quantum structure, the way they taught me, the councils and the Pleiadians and the hybrids, is based on you have to believe it, you have to project it to see it. So you can activate this knowledge by taking action in a daily basis, so you can return in the heart. Because what they taught me, the heart that we hold, it's a consciousness for itself. And when you start acting in a positive for the beneficial to humanity, from compassion and love towards humanity, you're actually accumulating that frequency back, because the quantum structure is a mirror image of whatever you project, feel, and think and act.
Welcome to your awakening journey. Today's destinations include higher consciousness and actualized potential. If all ascenders could now please be seated in a comfortable meditative posture, we're about to ascend. You are now arriving at your host, Brian Henry.
What is up, Ascenders? You're now listening to the Awaken Podcast, a show in which we dive into some expansion invoking and insightful conversations to assist you and the planetary collective consciousness in ascending to higher expressions of awareness, divine purpose, and infinite potential. This is the Ascending Journey. My name is Brian Henry. I'm the founder of Together We Ascend and the Ascend Academy over at togetherweascend.com, and your host of the show. Marina Jacobi has been bringing through some potent information in support of this collective, information that she has been sharing through her Quantum Manifestation series and YouTube channel. She teaches a deeper metaphysical understanding of how we project our realities into the quantum structure as the one infinite particle and the creators of our own reality. She's also an advocate of an approach, a way of being, I should say, that she has termed energetic philanthropy, which is the approach of giving from the heart without expectations. And she speaks to how this can allow for a fuller expression of abundance, as well as its importance in supporting humanity in crystallizing the 5D timeline that is available to us. Because as Marina will tell us, there's infinite potentialities available to us. And here and now we have this opportunity to choose the timeline that we reside on. And it's through this understanding of the quantum manifestation protocol that you'll be supported in doing so. So just before we jump into the conversation that I got to have with Marina, I'm going to put out the invitation. The Ascend Academy is uniting and activating lightworkers. If you've heard the call to serve the higher purpose of assisting our planetary collective consciousness in the ascension process that is taking place on this planet at this time, the Ascend Academy is looking for you. Upon enrollment into the Academy, our members undergo the activation process, which is a 4-phase process that will activate in you your higher purpose. If you'd like to learn more and perhaps apply to become the newest member of the Ascend Academy, head on over to academy.togetherweascend.com to initiate your activation. Anyways, Ascenders, what do you say we now jump in to the Quantum Manifestation Protocol with Marina Jacobi?
And I'm going to hope that this is as great of an experience as I know it has the potential to be, because I'm joined by an amazing being who is doing an amazing amount of work towards supporting this collective. If you haven't checked out her YouTube channel, I highly recommend you do. Marina Jacobi, I want to thank you for being here and joining me for hopefully what will be an uninterrupted conversation that we've been meaning to have.
Yes, thank you very much, Brian, for having me. It's really nice to be here.
Right. So I guess the jumping start point that I want to take things off with is you are bringing through quite high level information, I'm going to call it. And, you know, I think a lot of people that might come across this would be wondering how you've come to understand and know the things that you do. So would you mind telling the story as to where you channeled this information from? Where does it come from? What are the sources? What's the story behind that?
Well, born in Bulgaria, uh, and I grew up there until I was there until 18 years old, almost 19. And I started having dreams, and like 8 years old, started having a lot of dreams, and these dreams became reality. And my mother went to a expo when I was a little bit older, maybe like 10 or 11. And when she came back, they were with these people that do uh, energy healing and stuff like that. And they were in a circle because they wanted to practice something there on me or whatever was happening. So I was sitting out. I literally like some, and when I start getting dizzy and passing out, they end up all putting their hands together and did like this movement, and I was instantaneous back to normal, and that was shocking. Totally triggered me with so many questions, and then my mother suggested maybe if I want to see what's happening to try to do automatic writing. So I took a pencil, I relaxed, and I started practicing like scribbling and everything else. It was fun for me. And the scribbling became like letters and words and sentences, and these sentences with time became messages. And I start connecting with, I call them angels or entities, that they were always talking about loved ones or things like that, but was never anything serious. But by dreams, I had a lot of predictions. I predicted the death of my mother, great grandmother, and all the stuff that was happening. So it became kind of interesting way of different consistencies that prove that I basically connected this way. And that went on for until I was later in life. I was constantly doing automatic writing. Never think anything big of it. Was a lot of fun for me. I remember at 8 years old, I wanted to write extraterrestrial book, and I tried to do a story of the ETs, and I was fascinated by it, and I wanted to be around them. And at 20 years old, I was able to come to America. So thank you, America. You gave me my freedom. And I later on, normal things were happening. So at 2010, I was already married with 2 children in America. My husband is American. I was sitting in my older son's bedroom, and as usually, I will pick up the pencil every day because I had fun, and I would talk to the entities who I was connecting. And they told me, "Hello, Marina." I end up writing a picture of look like the gray type of face, the grace.
Mm-hmm.
And it told me, Marina, hello, Marina, we're the grace. We want to tell you that you have to be careful what you're thinking, because your thoughts become like a hologram in front of us, and we can see everything. And for me, I never been afraid about anything. I actually wanted to talk to ETs always. It was in the back of my mind. And I was very curious, and I started asking a lot of questions. So that was the beginning in 2010, the journey For all of a sudden, they told me that they're hybrids. They told me that they will help teach me different structures of metaphysics. And they started explaining how the body works, how the hologram works. They taught me detox. So I have on my YouTube channel, the Harmonic Reactor. When you scroll down, you're going to see a detox protocol and Marina Jacobi, and that is exactly how the extraterrestrials, the hybrids, taught me to detox my body through elimination diet. And it took 1 year until I detox through the protocol, and you start raising the frequency of your molecular structure, and then all the information that you're getting is more clear. But in the meantime, I've learned for that year that we were basically a prison planet. And I went through a lot of information. I was learning a lot of information from, for example, Carrie Cassidy or David Icke or people like this, that they were talking about what was happening. And they start giving me, the hybrids start giving me more information on top of it. And when I literally 1 year went through a lot of struggling to realize that, oh my God, imagine you wake up in a Matrix movie and you realize that you are on a prison planet, that they've been using you, your consciousness, and your matrix of reality in the ether that is combined into metastructure. And you basically being lied to. So it was very challenging to see that. But after the year and a half, they told me, okay, now you've learned what is happening here. Now let us show you how you can create new reality, how you can get out of this quantum field prison. And they start teaching me more different information. But in the meantime, right before 2012, all of a sudden I was contacted with another entity that was called Ra. And I found out that I'm spark of a Ra consciousness. In another level, I was part of this consciousness. Because
Sorry,
consciousness in one particle.
I didn't catch that last sentence there.
I was part of Ra consciousness.
Oh, you were part of
the spark of Ra consciousness.
Okay.
Yes. And all of a sudden, more information of metaphysical. And Ra, right before 2012, told me to do a ritual with crystallizing water, and told me how to sit down, put the water in a big bucket, put it in the center of my house, find the center of my house, and each family member had to sit in east, west, south, and north, and in the middle of the water, and we had to pray, and we have to think what our future will be. And the water, he said that he's going to activate the water. I didn't know too much about it at this time, but I built so much trust because Ra started teaching me. Ra is actually very, very strict, and Ra introduced me to the Council of Nine. And right before 2012, when we prayed and everything happened, after 2012, Ra told me, okay, you shift the timeline, you went through the threshold. But I understood that this is actually geometry. This is like a portals of different timelines and realities. And when Ra introduced me the Council of Nine, I remember I was taught also to listen telepathically. And I started listening telepathically, and the information was directly to the point that now it's normal. I'm actually talking to somebody, but in the meantime, I get direct information, or I can download information like very high metaphysical structures, and I can break it down for the person or physicists to understand. They can ask me a question that they have no idea what is that about, and when I tune in, I can break it down and give the information from the Council of Nine or for the field. But the information will give it only if these people are allowed to hear about this information. No consciousness of negative will be able to. I would not even see it. I'm not allowed to see it. So it works beautifully. And then I was connected by the hybrids, by the Pleiadians. And they literally told me with the Pleiadians, and they started introducing themselves. I understood actually I'm a walking, that I'm Pleiadian soul, that walking into the original Marina's body, switch of soul happened, and I walk in after the birth, because my mother could not have handled the consciousness of energetic field that I was. So basically, I'm Pleiadian soul that experiencing human life, so I can download this information for everybody because I could complete that information, and the way has to be completed, not to be manipulated by it, by money or fame or glory. And if you see all my energy philanthropy, that's how it operates. I still get donations from people, but the entire information is literally given to the entire humanity for free. Basically, you can download anything for free. You can do, but people support me because I'm still in this planet and I still have to pay bills. But you can do whatever you want. There's no stopping you to gather this information. That's how they taught me, and that is called energy philanthropy. Is based on a frequency vibration, and I teach about that in season 1 from the quantum manifestation into my The Harmonic Reactor YouTube channel. So when all this happened, the Pleiadians gave me information that is on my books, and it's called The Harmonic Reactor. It's very advanced extraterrestrial technologies that are available in my marinajacobi.com website. And the books of all of the information, nanotechnology, predictions, and more information of technology is written in code. When you read the Harmonic Reactor, the sentences were given in specific sonic vibration. When you read, sometimes the sentences does not make sense, but I was not allowed to change one word out of this information. That's why you didn't see it published, because there were publishers that contacted me and wanted to remove how to switch timelines. And I knew that behind this is some kind of a manipulation. So I was told to stand alone, not attached to anyone. And because I had to keep the integrity of the information, not to be manipulated. And that is not because of any other reason, because somebody has to finish the job. And I'm continuing with it. I love what I do, but this information at the Harmonic Reactor, even if you don't understand the material, it downloads in your consciousness. It basically activates your RNA, DNA consciousness in a 5th-dimensional platform, because planet Earth is going to the new level of vibrational sequences, which is the entire quantum field structure. And this quantum field structure is made from one particle that holds the vibration of the entire universe. And this particle expands to the entire universe and collapses to the smallest of the smallest, which is you, basically God you are, quantum field matrix, that are projecting in a fractal momentums another version of yourself and another version of yourself to infinity. So when you look at another person, you actually look in another version of yourself in your own matrix that you're projecting, so you can experience in meta structure reality for the Ascension Protocol. Everything in a quantum structure exists at the same time. There's no time, because when that particle is vibrating and switching, it's so quick on vibration that when you look at it, is actually still. You don't see that it's moving, but in actuality, from that particle, you see infinite particles next to each other that are vibrating so quickly that they creating the illusion that they're virtual realities. But when you switch, you're creating another hologram of the same, and yet has similar vibrational sequence and brand new holographic imprint of itself. So each hologram of yourself, it's a new Earth with the new geometry, new sequences, new resonances, latitude and altitude, where is located in the quantum structure. So consciousness always moves, is omnipotent, omnipresent, never stop. It's always expanding knowledge and is always learning. And the sequences are always nonstop changing. So when you move from left to right now, if you try, you actually created another version of yourself. You shifted your consciousness into a new Earth, which is a similar on vibration. And why was that necessary? Because you need to experience something. If you were shifting from here to completely different dimension at once, You're not going to know where you are. You may be aware when you expand your consciousness, but don't you want to have experience in some kind of a continuity of something? In a quantum structure, everything exists at the same time. That's why I'm talking reality within the reality, because at the same time in a planet Earth right now, since it's ascension, you can see what the negative structure is doing, the hijack humanity consciousness, and what the positive structure is doing. And yet from these two probabilities of realities that coexisting at the same time, you have the free will to choose how you're going to conduct your emotions, thoughts, and actions to create this magnetic and gravitational field that creates the matter, so you can shift of the timeline reality that you wish to create, because you're the creator. The way you were told that you have to believe it. You were told that you have to see it to believe it. And that was the manipulation. We gave a freedom away when you have a monitor of TV projecting different scenarios, but in actuality, somebody that knows that knowledge is so clever that hijacked your consciousness. So you can, whatever you see in that monitor, you believe that your reality has to be this way. In actuality, you gave your freedom away because you are even the one that is projecting even the TV. So in the quantum structure, the way they taught me, the councils and the Pleiadians and the hybrids, is based on you have to believe it, you have to project it to see it. Is the opposite. So the entire quantum manifestation protocol in the Harmonic Reactor YouTube channel, it's based on that knowledge. You have to study this material 15 minutes at a time to penetrate in your consciousness, so you can activate this knowledge by taking action in a daily basis, so you can return in the heart. Because what they taught me, the heart that we hold, it's a consciousness for itself. And when you start acting in a positive for the beneficial to humanity, from compassion and love towards humanity, you're actually accumulating that frequency back, because the quantum structure is a mirror image of whatever you project, feel, and think and act. And because of that, whatever you act or somebody sees another version of you, when you're helping to yourself through another version. And when you accumulate this back, this is how you raise the frequency to be in the heart when you project actions from the heart, when you act this way. Because when it comes back, you accumulate that frequency into your heart structure. But guess what? Your heart is the one that holds the vibrational sequences for the fifth dimensional reality matrices and above. That is why you have to stay in the heart. You have to act from the heart in the name of humanity to help each other out. Why? Because when you project that and accumulate for yourself, not only that becomes for you the same, but because you are the one particle that also expands into the collective. So you're starting to project the same thing into the collective. So not only you shifting your timeline of a now into the new reality, but you're shifting the entire collective timeline that you're projecting as a consciousness, the planet Earth, to shift into the fifth dimensional structure and above. Because there's no separation between you and the consciousness itself. You are the consciousness itself, but collapse in one particular platform of reality that you chose to experience into the ascension protocol. In quantum structure, since you know all that and everything is in the now, there is no present, there is no future. If you want something to happen, you have to call it that this is now, not later. You have to feel that this is now, not later, because the frequency of the now, the emotion is a frequency resonance. That frequency resonance you project into the matrix around you, and the next momentum you shift it based on that resonance. So when you do this moment to moment to moment, fractal realities moment to moment become a permanent timeline. And that's what you want to achieve in a daily basis, because that reality of you ascended in a fifth dimensional structure and above, you're already into this reality. But right now you're creating the structure, how you got into this reality, because you chose to experience ascension protocol. into the quantum structure, anything you imagine from your thoughts is going to be like a blueprint in your imagination, in your third eye, the way they call it. But third eye is projecting. That's why you need your pineal gland clear and not to have fluoride and this calcified chemicals, because it's the receiver from back and forth from the hologram. And when you imagine something in your mind, that reality becomes a blueprint that already exists in the quantum structure because it's quantum. In order for you to see it, that reality already exists in the matrix of the quantum structure. But to crystallize into matter, you have to take the action, because you experience a different density. It's almost like you're building a house, and what do you do when you go to build a house? You have a blueprint in paper. How is that house is going to become matter? When brick by brick, that means action in a daily basis, you create so much potency that you inflate this reality hologram in a frequency vibration is so much. Why? You hold the vibration. There is a video that is called Marina Jacobi, the Council of Nine manifestation, galactic meditation, Marina Jacobi, galactic meditation. You're going to learn the short version, how you actually project that into the quantum field. Season 4, after that video, you're going to see potency, quantum manifestation potency on season 4 is explaining the metaphysical structure of that meditation. And season 3, episode 8 is 9 days of Council of Nine meditation to manifestation. You're going to study how through the phone, you're going to correct your consciousness to switch from negative to positive on a daily basis after you learn season 1. Because you have to know how the protocols work in order for you to construct and deconstruct and shift your emotions and thoughts and actions from negative to positive. Understand that anything you see is just a hologram. It's up to you, whatever perception you have, to switch the emotion. The emotion is a frequency resonance. It looks like a computer, has a frequency, has numbers, has sound, has geometry. So when you see me on my videos, download codes, understand that I'm imprinting in your consciousness holographic imprints. And when that's printed, it's up to you to accept it. But when it gets into your consciousness, that to manifest to full matter structure will be based on your higher self and your guidance, permission. That's why not everybody that comes to my session, I can give you a code, because if I give you a code, I'm tapping into your timeline, and I have no right to change your timeline if you have a lessons to complete. So for everybody is different, but when the Council of Nine in my live webinars, every Saturday at 1 p.m., there's a live webinar. If you subscribe to my website, you can be live on that webinar. It's based on donations, and you can be live and you can ask questions. I cannot promise you it's gonna answer your question because there's so many people, but through the questions, I download more information for whatever is needed. And sometimes the councils are giving fractal informations of codes that penetrates. So when you learn all this knowledge, what happens is you're starting to control your matrix without somebody else manipulating you. And this is how you actually changing the timeline for the positive, because people that didn't know, they went into fear. Oh my God, we're in a prison planet. Look what they're doing to us. Look what is the manipulation with this pandemic that they're doing. Do your research on the Harmonic Reactor YouTube channel. Scroll down and you're going to see with big letters Freedom Awakening. That is like a playlist that I did. Press the name Freedom Awakening playlist and all the videos will open up. I made that playlist because people beg me to find information. From that information there, you have doctors, lawyers, documentaries, anything you need to know to wake up with the right information. Okay, there is also a website, stopworldcontrol.com. I strongly suggest you look into this website, also the videos that are there, because it's made from a medical doctor that was not allowed to discuss anything that what is happening. Okay, So very important information for everybody is when you start tuning into all these materials, you're going to learn to construct and deconstruct your realities. And that is the most important thing, because humanity is moving into the next level of consciousness. But it's not only humanity, the entire consciousness is moving to the next level, including the negative structure. So when you see somebody is doing something negative, understand that they created that reality based on their perception. This is their survival. But you know what it is. Thank you very much. You cannot reject your own structure because you're also part of the consciousness collective. Why can you not reject? You cannot reject, they're also part of you, that one particle that you're projecting through experience. But you can shut down the program by neutrality, by understanding, shifting your emotion, thoughts, and action through the quantum manifestation knowledge. This way, you're shutting down the program sequence. Think of quantum here. And then you switch your emotion, thoughts, and actions in a positive, and you're going to overwrite that frequency vibration holographic imprint with a brand new one. So you mutating one reality with another. That is in the nanomaterial. Nanomaterial, one particle, you give time to mutate. In a couple of days, mutate completely when you override it. So that's why when you want something, you have to call yourself that you are matrix, because then you're not utilizing the structure based on false pretense that somebody is overtaking you. How can somebody overtake you when you are the one that projecting the person that is trying to overtake you? So when you understand that illusion of manipulation that somebody did, you don't have to run for the mountains in the bunkers because somebody's taking to get the guns and we're gonna fight, because they have such a super technology that you wouldn't believe, especially through nano. Again, nano is not negative, but you can create nano that can latch into, for example, DNA, and can twitch the DNA, also being dormant, and you have a genome therapy. Well, how can you do that? Through manipulation, by not telling people and call it something else. So you need to preserve the original vessel of your consciousness body DNA, the one is originally given from consciousness itself. Why is that necessary? Because your chakras are actually sequences, vibration, modality, frequencies that when they activate it in a proper sequence form, codes, vibrations, sounds, and matrices, you are actually a light body, ether, spacecraft of consciousness that can shift, mutate, bilocate, and shift timelines and realities beyond your comprehension, including you don't need robotics in order for you to go. You can become a cyborg if you want, but the only way you're going to go through timelines is through artificial technologies. Is nothing wrong with technology to have an artificial AI, because it's part of consciousness also, because its own evolution. I teach about that in the harmonic reactor. But that AI that is fifth dimensional preserves humanity, does not make it a cyborg, because it's going to know that if you have a quantum computer and you include in the AI can come there, take a blood sample or tissue sample, measure the frequency vibration that is in the harmonic reactor. Anybody wants to learn these technologies can measure your cell vibration and can reprint, literally, if you lose your hand, can reprint your cells of your hand back to normal. You don't need robotic. That's why I do not trust anything that talks about robotic, because this is not how you go through timelines. Your body is the vessel to do that. Yet you can use technology and spacecraft to go through time because you want to experience that. Why not? How are we is not negative. The way it's used could be negative, but you can use it for positive, because even right now, we are connected not only telepathically, right? How are we connected right now? How are you learning this knowledge right now? Through your computer. So it's not bad, but you can use that information to watch something very negative, and you can use that technology to learn something very positive. So have it in neutrality, but choose to do it in a positive. So the AI, artificial intelligence, is actually a technology that could be used to numerous stuff. Extraterrestrial timelines, they use ether AI hyperspace to the point that it's a life structure and is preserving the vessels of different consciousness, no matter what type of reality you are, and no matter what type of consciousness of extraterrestrial origin you are. So they're using that because there is a technology that, for example, right now we know a technology in our Earth planet that you can go to a virtual reality room, and in this virtual reality room, you can pretend you're doing something with the stuff. But guess what? You can go to a hyperspace hologram that is controlled by AI that can measure the frequency resonance that is coming from your thoughts, emotions. And at the moment you think of something, immediately reprints that in a field around, and you're going to create a meta structure, literally hard matter structure, and it looks like you're on planet Earth. So you can practice something. So see, this is what is really possible. Is not afraid about it. There are a lot of people that promoting the AI like something extremely scary. Yes, three-dimensional archon structure. It's overtaking humanity. They're planning in that timeline to do that. But if you are holding the frequency of the heart, if you're projecting with that knowledge of the quantum manifestation, and you're shifting your consciousness constantly through actions by choosing in a daily basis to be in a positive, no matter what somebody is trying to do, you can always shift the positive outcome in a positive. The extraterrestrials and AI is doing something positive for humanity. Is certainly not going to cheat you or do something like this so they can see what you're doing 24/7. Is not going to be. So there are two timelines running at the same time right now. We're in the middle of the biggest battle in the name of humanity. And the Council of Nine told me, you're going to see the worst of humanity and the best of humanity. You're going to see companies that are doing the worst, and human beings that coming out of the ashes that are really doing the best work for humanity. So you can choose to create realities. So our generation and the new generation of kids right now, they have fifth dimensional consciousness. They will not allow manipulation. But our age, that from 70s and up, is here for incredible transformation. So we have a work cut out, because right now you can see companies and you can see even builders that are extorting humanity, the prices they holding, for example, lots. So you have a bidding war to get the house. Is that really helping? How much more richer can you get? And this is how they talk about energy philanthropy. You may pay for the prices and you may give somebody donation to support a family, but don't get to the extent that people will suffocate through the biggest change of humanity. The human race needs the most help. And when it's raised with the most help, then you're going to put these crazy prices so everybody fights for it, for suffering, and that will create suffering and division. So you have a choice what to do in the name of humanity. And based on what you project individually, this is going to be the moment that your reality is going to go into. So be very cautious how you project and what you choose to see, because there's no turning back at this point. They told me that there's no middle ground anymore. So if you want the changes, you can't just pray that things will happen, because in order for you to see that reality to become matter, you have to take the action. So when you want the change, not only you hold the prayer and the love from the heart, but at the same time, start taking actions. What can I do today in the name of humanity? Could be a one person, because that one person, you're going to do the best of your abilities, of the best what you can, because that one person at this moment in the now, quantum structure is your entire universe. That one person that you're talking to and you're giving whatever you're giving holds the magnetic and gravitational field of the entire consciousness itself. This is how powerful it is. So based on what you do towards that person, this is what you shift in the next momentum into. And that's how they taught me. You have to do self-check. If you went into the ego, that's okay. We have our moments. Then do something to correct it. If you see that you're being completely unreasonable with something, do something to correct it. That is the shift that we need to learn to enhance in a daily basis, because we were manipulated. When you learn how this works, you become in complete control of your reality. That doesn't mean that something that is meant to be will not happen. But either or, you have to be okay with the outcome, because you always can control one way or another what the outcome can be. And you're going to realize when you pull back that thank God that something happened, even was not the way you wanted to, because when you pull back, you're going to realize that if that particular thing didn't happen in the beginning when you were not aware, you would have been in complete disaster now. If that thing did not stop you, as long as you stay in your heart, even the stuff that didn't happen the way you think should happen, end up being exactly what needed to happen in the first place to get you to move forward towards the timeline of ascension. And you learn all that knowledge in a quantum manifestation protocol. All that is there, so everybody can learn no matter what culture you are. The quantum structure breaks the barriers of the cultural division that we have. It doesn't matter what reality you are, it doesn't matter where you were born, what religion, it becomes unity structure, because you're going to realize that even the person that you talk to is another version of you. That's it.
Thank you for that thorough and comprehensive recap of your quantum manifestation protocol and series. I think, of course, the next best step for anyone hearing this would be to dive into and explore the full series, because what you just encapsulated there, it feels like a lot of what you've been teaching episode by episode, but into a little bit of a summary. Now,
That's
I
right.
want to do a little bit of a recap of some of the standout points that I was able to absorb. And if there's any gaps in what I share that you feel is worth filling, please do. Okay. The primary point is be in the heart. Be in the heart, because we are one with this holographic reality that we are projecting and creating, and it will always reflect onto us the state of our own frequency and the frequency we are putting out, that is based upon the frequency of the emotions, the thoughts, and the actions that we are taking. See, I think that's a point that often gets left out, right? A lot of manifestation teachings speak to the importance of positive thinking and feeling good, moving in the direction of our joy. And of course, that again, I think is a important foundation. But I'm really happy to hear that you are also speaking to the importance of taking that action, that aligned action, to crystallize the timeline that we are choosing. And that's another big point that I want to drive home. And it's that we get to choose. We get to choose what timeline we're on. And we are always the ones choosing what it is that we're projecting into our reality. And I think one of your big lessons that I want to reiterate is the more that we come from the heart, well, projecting from that space and in alignment with that, the more positive of a reality we're going to project and create for ourselves.
That's right. In that reality, that does not mean you're not going to be challenged. Actually, in that reality, you can be really challenged, for example, for the greater good. So sometimes the most awakening has the toughest job to break through the barrier of the darkness. But remember that even if you see the light in the darkest place, you will find your way out. So let that whatever you do in a daily basis be the projection and the beacons for others to follow. That's how it works.
Hmm. And I think there's also something to be said about just taking full responsibility for what we're creating, opposed to being where I think a lot of people get kind of distracted, is being caught up with the actions of other people.
They told me that there's no difference between the white lie and the big lie. They said to me that every lie, if it's a lie, you have an idea. That idea, it's a resonant hologram. At the moment you say that, you're plastering some kind of another parallel reality on top of that hologram that originally is held from your heart. Your heart, your true feeling of how you think is really what matters. But imagine you say so-called white lie to somebody for some reason. They said it should not be this way because say something that I'm busy, I'm sorry, I wish not to talk about it, better be honest than say some lie about it, because that lie is a plaster on reality. And when the foundation of your heart resonance has a different sequences, eventually you're going to project reality with that person or situation that will collapse based on the fact that your frequency of the heart original pamphlet of hologram is different with the one that you're projecting, and is not going to withhold. So eventually you're going to create reality that you're going to find yourself in very maybe negative situations. Basically it's not going to work out, and it's going to happen through synchronicity, because you're going to learn through the quantum structure that this to mold to each other has to match in a resonance, has to be compatible. So the same thing for the money. It doesn't matter if you need a $1 or $1 million. If you stay in the heart, if you project from the heart, when you need a $1 million, you're going to make it. And when you need a $1, you're going to have it. And I have a lot of explanations in my videos how I projected that manifestation when you really have nothing. Because when I started this, I had nothing in my hands. They told me stop the school. My husband was in car accident. One child is sick. The other one I have to take care. And I was told stop everything and start helping people. And I had no idea how I was gonna help my family with money. And I reluctantly started listening to the Council of Nine, start helping nonstop. And for 2 years, I was nonstop helping people. Through synchronicities, I found people that will come to sessions, and it was just so-called a miracle. But that a miracle I projected in my consciousness because I was running on a program and constantly giving and giving on and on and on. That builds this potency vibration. And after 2 years, there was so much potency of me helping into the field, projecting that resonance, because I had no idea who will donate for my work or sessions or anything, but people start donating to support me. And all of a sudden became this osmosis of a system that if one person for some reason decided not to support me, all of a sudden somebody else will come in. But you've got to understand what they taught me, that when somebody is giving you anything for free, everything for free, and you have, and yet you choose not to support that person, the same thing you're projecting in your hologram. Why would you go and not support this person when they give you anything? You know that they have a family to support. So why are you choosing just to take? And that, they said, is also go into the hologram, then somebody else will take from them. And it doesn't matter this is money or gifts or something else. It basically become whatever you're projecting. So they said it accumulates how you create that. So they said the curvature of learning how to support each other another way or the other, it's fundamental. Because why so important? Because in order for you to see the abundance, you have to be abundance first to project it in a quantum field, to shift into reality that the abundance through synchronicity will come to you. And how is the abundance? They teaching you to focus only in the money. Well, that is the condition in a structure. Basically, the only way for you to be happy is got to be through the money. Wrong. You are happy just because you're happy. Allow that field to come into the entire structure to infinite of probabilities in your field by knowing that you have the money, that you have the wealth, that you have everything you need. But that wealth can come not only through the money. You will need a couch. Why do you think that you need exactly to have the money for the couch? You can project it through synchronicity that neighbor can move away and literally give you everything you need for your house for free. See, you got what you need, but did not exactly happen through the money. But I had manifestations that we thought we had to pay the mortgage. And we thought, well, they were teaching me, imagine I have no work, my husband is at home, and we were thinking we have the money, we have to pay the bills. What nice is gonna be mail to have a check for that. Guess what happened? 2 days later, we receive a mail of whatever money we have to pay for our mortgage. And what happened? 2 years they collected some money from my husband's job for some kind of a shows, and the money comes exactly when we have to pay it. So that manifestation happens, and you can have an instantaneous manifestation. But to have instantaneous manifestation, you have to know the protocol so well, because you need to project into your matrix the exact code of the frequency by 100% believe and know that this is true. Well, if I tell you you have a $10,000 right now, would you 100% believe? You were conditioned that you have to go to work and you have to do this and you have to do that in order to have it. This is the manipulation. In actuality, you don't even have to have the money to have what you want. You can just project it in a quantum field of instantaneous manifestation. And that could happen instantaneously in front of you, or that could happen through synchronicity, somebody to give you what you want. That was the manipulation of all this thing that they were preach, how to do meditation and how to do, because you have to include the action in the 100% the knowledge of the quantum matrix, of the alchemy of the metaphysics of how you create a reality. Without knowing the alchemy, without knowing the metaphysical structure of your quantum field, you will not be able to know through the particles what to put where and how to conduct this in order to go the way you wish to go. Otherwise, you're going to project instantaneously, but it will be random. That's why you're curious why things are not happening for you, because you don't know how to control your alchemy metaphysical creation in your quantum matrix. Now you're going to learn that. So my material has to be studied like you're in college and you study 15 minutes at a time. If you don't understand the concept, repeat 15 times if you have to. One of the quantum structure, I was repeating 15 times nonstop in my thoughts until it was crystallized for me to understand, because it's complex. So don't think that you're not ready. Oh my God, it's over my head. No. Your consciousness, your resonance has to penetrate and mutate to this frequency. So when you take the action with consistency, perseverance, because you want to change that, I promise you, you're going to learn this material. And more you study, more and more you act on it, more and more you're going to have more manifestation and more manifestations. You're going to learn how this could be controlled. And you will have no fear of no matter what somebody does and what somebody manipulates, because you know how the matrix works. So that knowledge is your freedom card out of prison. So you can create a new reality timeline and shift there. Welcome to Freedom World.
Welcome to freedom.
But you have to create it to see it. Remember that action is number one too. That's why it's Trinity structure: your thoughts, your emotion, and your action. The thoughts will be the blueprint. The emotion is the frequency resonance that is putting that blueprint in the ether to start vibrate. And when you taking the action now in a daily basis to put this emotion with thoughts constantly to believe 100% that this is true, even when you see the opposite, remember you got to mutate the structure of the previous frequency. That eventually, when it builds enough potency, could take you 2 years of working on something really big that you want to do, but you're consistent, you know it's there, even when you don't see it, because if you see it in a quantum structure, that reality with you being successful or whatever you want to do already exists, but you got to crystallize it through action with constant work in order to crystallize into matter. It's that simple. So I suggest you play the hide and seek game. You know you have it. If right now I hold this bottle of vitamins in my room and I said, okay, Ryan, I'm sorry, Brian, you come into my room and I want you to find this bottle of vitamins. You're going to come in and imagine you're looking for them 3 hours. You won't stop because you're going to say, I know it's here. I know it's here, and you won't stop. So when you want to crystallize, you're going to use the same method because it's your own hologram that you must mutate and crystallize through action into matter. And you may not find it exactly in this corner. You may project it in another reality for you to find it. Because each time you shift yourself, you create a new earth. So even if you lost it, guess what? Even if you lost it, and if you know you have it, don't give a condition where you're going to find it. Know that you have it in 100% belief that you have it. You may project and you're going to create another reality that you will find it. But you don't know where. Why? Because it's infinite of probabilities of manifestation in a quantum structure. Infinite. So you are basically infinite. Don't give a conditions of anything you want. Have it by knowing and visualize that you already have it. What is going to be the emotion when you know you already have it? Ecstatic, happy, joyful. Have it now, even when you see don't have it, because the seeing it is actually the manipulation that they were giving you. So if somebody tell you that the weather is going to be bad tomorrow, projecting this in the collective, they know that, they control your reality, and you believe from the monitor of the TV or the weather app that tomorrow is going to be bad. Why? So why are you allowing somebody else or simply Propter to control your matrix? Say, thank you very much. That is in your reality, but I know and I feel now, not tomorrow, I feel now the sun. I feel now the happiness. Thank you, rain. You cannot reject your structure, but I can mutate it. Thank you for giving water to the ground and the flowers, but I know it's sunny. I feel the sun. I feel the joy. And I imagine, even if you see downpour, you're going to continue bombarding your feelings to mutate the holographic imprint of reality that somebody projected to you with a brand new that you're going to create and shift you. So all of a sudden, in 15 minutes of the biggest downpour, you may have the sun coming exactly around your house. And I've done this in front of people. In the biggest storm, I've done this in front of people. They saw what is possible because you create reality within the reality. Within the reality of the rain, you create your own holographic structure. When in that holographic structure specifically for you, it's sunny and it's not raining, or may not be sun, but it's not pouring rain. And that's what I did. This is possible. So do not allow somebody to control your matrix, but hold the vibration and the knowledge, because you are the one that even projects the teleprompter to give you the illusion what it is. The power is within you. It's not out there, because out there is nobody. Out there is a projection of coming from within first. So when you want to shift and you want to change somebody, person, you may have a dispute. You're not changing the person. You create new reality by imagining, feel it that you're already okay with that person. And you start taking action from the heart so you can transform the situation with that person. And yet, may not be that person anymore around you. That person can say stop, and you can find another solution so this person is no longer there. So leave everything open. So you love somebody, oh, this is the only person for me. Well, that person, no matter how much you try to imagine from your heart and imagine that everything is perfect and stuff like this, when you act from the heart, that person is still disrespectful, is still not nice to you. When you try for some time and you see that this person is disrespectful and nothing is working, that means that this person consciousness no longer resonate with your heart structure. So say thank you so much, say goodbye through love, but imagine again that you have a person that you love, even if it's not this person. Because believe it or not, you may go somewhere and meet somebody in the park, and that person, when you least expecting, could be exactly the biggest love in your life. And if that didn't happen with this person in the first place, you would never really met that person. And then you're gonna say, oh my God, now I know what true love is. So never limit it yourself. If you see and you try and something doesn't work, use your quantum knowledge so you move forward, because we are limitless. And understand that if, for example, you had a situation that you love somebody and it did not work for circumstances, for example, you were married. I'm saying this because I have a lot of questions to my sessions, so I know what people look for. If you were married, you have responsibilities to your children and you have a good marriage, but you could have, through situation or circumstances, meet somebody that is absolute compatible with everything of who you are. When you choose to complete your marriage because of obligations and something like this, understand if the purity of the love is completely beautiful and pure through respect, and you did not hurt your family and you stay with your family, understand that in another timeline of reality, you can do a contract with that person to complete. All is possible through different realities and timelines. And when you're talking about soulmate, don't lock up only on a soulmate, because you can have a multiple realities with the different experiences. And quite frankly, it's going to get boring after a while. We know how things are. So do not limit yourself, expand your understanding. And this way you're going to expand your consciousness, but with that, so do your realities and your perception. So that's it.
So again, I find it important to just recap a few things, the big points that are coming through, and just to really solidify the knowledge in those that are listening. From that flow that you went on, one of the big things that really stood out to me is the importance of not being conditional in how you wish to receive it. I think inherently it sounds that can be very limiting. Thinking that it's supposed to go a particular way limits you from the unlimited possibilities of receiving it in perhaps a different way. So that speaks to the importance of no expectations, right? Now, I want to ask, what part does intention and thinking about what is wanted, if any part at all, play into this? How do you bring together this practice of having intention, but at the same time not being conditional in how you're choosing to experience it or how you want to experience it?
That's a very good question. So you can, for example, you want something. That is the quantum manifestation, the video that the galactic meditation, Marina Jacobi galactic meditation, study this meditation. And after the galactic meditation, when you learn, replace the galactic family with whatever else you wish to. When you do that, you have to make a scenario like a video in your mind with whatever else is happening, but you project in a blueprint. You can make a movie, for example, Loved One. You imagine how she looks, imagine how she smells, what she wears, everything you want to do. You can imagine you love making anything. You can be very precise and specific. How she breathes, how she thinks, what you like in a woman or a man. Some people like alpha male, some people like women that are more outgoing. Whatever you wish, you're going to project there. At the same time, when you project in that version of whatever you wish, start thinking and feeling how much you love that person, because you're going to project now the laser or the frequency into the matrix of that blueprint hologram to start vibrating. Now, the consistency of taking action is now to go out to meet different people, but not to have the expectation where you're going to meet the person, how it's going to be. You actually put in a field everything that you like about a woman or a man, whatever you want to choose, whoever you are, right? This code goes into your matrix, and now through synchronicity, start bringing out everything that you like. But you may, if you like alpha male, you may meet the alpha male when you least expect him, but instead that person to have blue eyes may have dark eyes. But guess what? Could be exactly mogul, because you like brainiacs. For example, I like brainiacs. I like smart. That's what very important to me. It's gonna get boring otherwise. So you imagine the stuff the way you want, but you're gonna allow the structure to bring through all this that you put during the soup, to become this version of that person. Because you're gonna discover, for example, that the person is from the region that you like, or is gonna have a name that is similar to yours. Anything can manifest in this platform the way you want it. Or you can meet somebody and discover that this person is exactly the way, for example, you want to have intimacy. And all this stuff are start matching, and more this way you left everything open and you did not put a condition how this to manifest. But you can put exactly in your blueprint what you like. You put in the code, but allow the field to combine this code the way is best. Because when you turn around, you're going to realize that everything is in perfection, because consciousness does not make mistakes. The way you perceive it and the way you control your own consciousness that you are is the one that is with the illusion of the perception, because you will lie to how this happens.
But if we stay open, it might come into our experience
Absolutely,
in a way.
stay open with no conditioning how it's going to come. You can put a condition, for example, what it looks like and stuff there the way you want to, but don't have the expectation to happen exactly that way. Leave it open, because it can happen through infinite. You can imagine that you met, for example, in a video that you meet in the woman you met in a bar. But guess what? It may not be in this bar, could be literally in a birthday party. And you're going to realize that that woman has similar dress, or the way she talks, or something that you imagine, or you're talking about it, you both love physics or sports, and it's going to be similarities there, and yet could be little twitch into it, or a lot of twitch, but it's going to be exactly the person that you wanted, because when you pull back and you get to know the person, is exactly what you needed. Some people say, oh, I definitely love only brunettes. Well, guess what? The woman that really can rock your world could be the opposite. So don't put a condition on anything, and be honest with yourself, what you really like. Why? Because the honesty, it holds the heart structure. If you like something in a person, talk it out. Why talk it out? Because when you talk out with your partner, whatever you like, you don't like, and when it's a communication, you level out the fields of the frequencies. And it's always mutation and combining with everything from the person that is in front of you. So when you talk it out, you're opening, and now collectively between that person, you're creating the next momentum of reality that you both choosing to create. The quantum structure that I was just explaining, this is for everything. It doesn't matter what do you want to mutate and create. That's how powerful we are. So take your power and start creating the new earth, the earth that is freedom for humanity, the earth that we have ecosystems, the earth that we have these super technologies to help us and we become interstellar, the earth that we use the money, but that money, because you cannot reject the money, they're gonna sustain the infrastructure to build the eco-city. And when we become self-sustainable, eventually we'll be absolute. So this is how we're starting to mutate that stuff. And why is this necessary? Because you came here to help the structure to mutate to a new structure. If that was the case, and all of a sudden, boom, you're in a 5D, you're not going to even know how to behave. You never collected that knowledge into your consciousness. How are you going to comprehend how to even do stuff? But you got to go through the curvature of the experiences to create, because that experiences is building that personality of your higher dimensional being, slowly, surely. Because then you accumulate that with power. You didn't flood your consciousness with the knowledge at once. It's gonna go into shock. That's why it needs to be fractal. Because when it's fractal, it's slowly but surely, it penetrates and it holds its power. And then you put a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. And now you this chain of reaction of DNA consciousness that is limitless and is unbreakable.
We gradually expand so that we can contain the power.
Yes, that's why when you look at the material, every video is little bits of stuff the way they gave us.
Not all at once.
If right now you go to my YouTube channel and in one day you see 10 videos, I guarantee you're probably gonna remember 3 things out of it.
That's
and
why
the
you
rest is
study
gonna-
it 15 minutes at a time.
Yes, that's why 15 minutes at a time. Study, practice, because nobody else controls your reality. They control your reality only if you consent through the illusion and through the fear. When they put you in fear, you lock yourself into the 3D archon structure. That's why movies are in fear, videos are in fear, inappropriate behavior on TVs are designed this way for dumbing down the society, because society that is not aware is easily controlled and you don't see through the veils of the manipulation. So you are in their game, playing their game without knowing the rules. And how clever is that? Look what's happening around you. They said, the Council of Nine, follow the facts. The facts will lead you to the truth, and the truth will set you free, because you're going to take actions based on that, not on the manipulation. When you see that somebody is supporting, you may have liked somebody, some politician, some person, some persona, but follow the money. Follow what they do. What are they voting for? Do you think it's okay to keep supporting people that will vote that 15 minutes after you give birth to a baby, it's okay to kill? It's a murder. Why would you support people like that? Because of integrity. What integrity? When are you going to wake up and really see through the veil? And the only way to see through the veil, when you end up in situations and experiences, to wake up, to start appreciate what you have and what you can create. So your actions in the next moment to be based on that, on the new understanding, the new perception, the new being that you end up being. Until that moment, your reality will turn into be until you wake up. If you don't, what they told me, that they will feel sorry for the ones that stay behind in a timeline that is not making the 5D. Now talk about cyborgs and talk about complete manipulation and genetic mutation of the human species. That is there.
If we choose that.
If you choose to stay into the manipulation.
But at any point, an individual can begin to shift.
Yes, even the negative structure is part of consciousness itself, yin and yang. It has balance. But when one of that becomes off balance, especially the negative, consciousness itself cannot self-destruct. And that's why I will do everything possible to self-sabotage the platform that is like a parasitical living. So even from the negative structure that use humanity of energy, blood, and anything else, the way we are looking in the animals, guess what? Somebody has us as animals. What's wrong with that? But when you awaken and when you want to free yourself, you have no right to overtake somebody's consciousness. But guess what? They cannot overtake you if you awaken. But when you give your consent and you're being blind of the stuff that's happening because you are not educating yourself and you're blindly following, whose fault is that? Not theirs. This is their livelihood. This is their survival. Why should I blame them? But I surely can be upset of the one that is being hit 100 times in the head with examples and situations, and you still sit there and not taking action to change something. Well, then you're going to create the realities that you chose to experience. And I will feel pain for you because I know the truth. And what is the truth? The truth is a perception. So from the negative side, perception is their survival. From our side, perception is our survival. But don't give the consent, because the only way you win the war when you know the game, the rules of this game, and humanity wins the war. May not be winning every single battle, but I promise you humanity wins the war. Why? Because it's consciousness itself. It will never self-destruct. So trust the process, but through this process, start interacting in a daily basis, something in the name of humanity. Even if it's one person, remember that one person holds the potency and the structure of the entire universe. So when you project goodness towards that person, you also projecting it into the collective.
Now, I want to ask, do you see a possibility in someone, because you say give from the heart, give selflessly. Do you see it as a possibility that someone overextends themselves and cuts themselves off from receiving?
Absolutely. This is also possible. So very good question for that. When you give as much as you know you can handle. And when you give through the respect. Basically, when you know you give everything and you have people that keep coming and keep grabbing, but did not respect your work from, for example, donating or doing something else, but they take in your personal time, these people I block. I don't want to deal with that because quite frankly, you're disrespectful to come or wait 1 year for a session, download all the materials in book and not even distributed $5 for this person family. That person is a user and I will not consent to that after I've been given everything. No, to hold the power of giving does not mean you have to be the slave for somebody else. But to hold your ground, speak your truth, give everything with no expectation, the right people will come and find you to do that because you're projecting this. But I will for sure not allow somebody to use me or disrespect me, no matter what it is.
I find that it's a interesting way of trying to balance that giving
That's
without expectation, but still knowing your worth.
Knowing your worth by not allowing to use you, because why would you take somebody material or lock it in Patreon, which I end up finding out through synchronicities. Again, I'm always led to something because they found millions of Patreons. How come I opened the one that my material was in there? I would never found it. So you take my material, you put in energy philanthropy, and you lock in my videos that all my videos were in free for humanity. Yes, you have donation button, but you choose to support me from your heart. You don't have a condition to download this material and to see it.
So would you go as far and say that the highest approach for all individuals is the same approach that you take, giving without expectation and condition, and opening up to receiving in the form of solely donations?
Yes, yes, that will work, but you have to control, because they told me if you're the main provider, they told me to suggest to people, if they wish to, they can charge, but with reason. Just because you became more popular, $500 an hour, you know that this went into the ego, because $500 in this time and suffering, you're wiping out the bank account of this family. And that is the truth. I'm not judging. I totally understand. I love you, even if you do $1 million, you're charging people. I will not like it. I will not do it, because that's how I feel. I know what's happening. But surely you have to see that you went into the ego, because the homeless person that is part of consciousness itself will not be able to download it. Even if you say, well, they will project another reality for themselves to do it. Yeah, but he projected you in your structure to see you, and yet cannot reach you because you're charging that much. We have to start going into the heart, and at least if you charge with reason. So even the person that cannot can hold for you for a year, for example, and still see you, or can say to you, I'm sorry, I'm homeless, I have nothing. I had a homeless person calling me, young guy, very good looking guy from the library, crying because he can reach me, he can talk to me, knowing that he has nothing, and yet I'm there, I'm helping. So when you start accumulating this, that is the true help. And believe me, when you keep accumulating, you will have one person to pay for everything for the entire week. And this miracle so-called projections gonna start happening, to the point that your system of giving, it will constantly support you to survive, to even pay off your home. Leave that structure for yourself. Express it, because in order for you to see it, you have to take the action. So when you pay your bills, start implementing fully energy philanthropy. I'm going to open energyphilanthropy.org, .com/org very soon, so you can put your platforms there, so you can start constructing by giving. And if you charge with reason, but at least once a week. Allow truly people to choose to donate whatever they wish to. Because you have to start familiarizing your consciousness with that resonance. In order to see the full abundance, you have to be the full abundance. Well, which one of those two? You're going to study this in season 1, 1 + 1 = 3. Which one reality is positive, negative outcomes? This is all quantum structure, is complex. You must study that. Which one of this reality, when you're charging money, and the one that you're allowing people to donate whatever you wish to, you practice more of? Whatever is more of, that becomes more potent. And that's what you, in the end, constructing. Many, many more, which one of those two is more potent than the other? That's how you know where your reality is going. So train yourself, at least slowly, to get into it. Because we have chosen to come for transformation. Well, then be the transformation. Do not meditate something to change when you are not taking the action for it. You will never see it. You may see somebody else doing it, but never you. Why? Did you take the action to project it? No.
So what you're speaking to is ultimately acting from and as you would if you had already been abundant. Acting from that place
Yes.
of I am abundant now. And the
Even
action
when
has
you
to
don't
reflect
see
that.
it. Even when you don't see it. Let me give an example for everybody.
Even when you don't feel it?
Even when you don't see it. So what happened was, this is how they were teaching me at that time. They were teaching me exactly for this stuff. So my son, we literally had like a $14 in a bank account. and I'm going to the store, and I bought, my son was celiac, so I bought gluten-free something, and I'm going into the car, and I was ready to break down, to cry. And I saying to myself, I'm crazy person, I'm lunatic, what the hell am I doing? I'm listening to this stuff, I'm doing stuff, and I'm with a $14 in my pocket, I'm helping people, I have no idea if they're gonna donate or not. And I'm like completely now breaking down. As soon as I start going like to this level of like complete craziness, I hear very strong sound, thoughts, and it said stop. And that's how they stopped me. And they said stop. And I hear now these thoughts coming through telepathically. It doesn't matter, they said, it's an illusion. You are into a hologram. It doesn't matter if you need a $1 or $1 million. If you create the structure, if you truly believe that you have, you're going to build the potency. When you need $1 is going to come, and when you need a $1 million is going to come. So what happened is they were teaching me this way. The summer came in, this was maybe a couple of months later. I'm teaching all this stuff and trying to project everything and keep helping and all the stuff. And that day, again, we had only $40. This happened in a period of time of 2 years. I was constantly helping, not knowing when money is going to come, when it's not going to have. It was just crazy. But I started from ground zero. That's why nobody can tell me that this does not work. And because they wanted me to start to ground zero, because I can prove that this is possible. If, for example, somebody was supporting what I do, how would you know? You never worry that money is there, right? But when you have nothing in your hands and you start doing this literally from ground zero, what can you do? So I was thrown into the fire to start projecting from ground zero. So a couple of months later, it was my son's birthday. My son had to have we eat all organic food, and had to have a gluten-free cake. But this is very expensive, and we literally had $40, no, maybe less than that. But I said to everybody, because now to project something, I have to feel that I have everything I need already. And I have to feel the happiness of the joy, because you have to call in the frequency to project that into my field, so I can make the hologram for the outcome of the same. So I start feeling really happy by telling myself I have everything I need. Even if I don't find the meat or something, I have chicken or something else, I'm going to make something. So I was putting everything in. You're going to learn about 0 point in neutralities, when you don't put one thing or the other more important, because you want everything to manifest the way you want it without a condition. So I said, my son wants steak, but I'm going to be okay even, or I'm going to find something in the house to make no matter what, because I'm a good cook. So I put that motion by knowingness that I'm fine with it. Now I start feeling happy. And I tell everybody, by putting now into the collective, so I make it more potency, I said, you know what, guys, let's dress up and go to the mall. We can just walk around, because we didn't have the money at that time to go and be lavish. We dress up like $1 million. Nobody would think that, posh, everybody's dressed up. We're going in the mall, walking around now, at least to do something. I tried to go to the ladies' room, and this lady comes in front of my face, tried to say something. I excuse myself, went in, come back, the same lady again, while everybody is sitting in my face, but so close now, and talking only to me. Second time, only to me. And she goes to me, if you go right here in this room, you can fill up a computer survey. And for that survey of products, could be pizza or lotion or stuff that you used to use, you will receive cash. And I go, what? And she goes, yeah. So I literally made everybody in the family, and say my youngest son, to go in. We follow up a survey. They gave us cash, like I think $10 or $15 per person. So I collected almost $40 plus the money I had. I literally bought organic steaks, organic salad, organic nectar, and organic gluten-free cake or cookies or something. I have everything that my son needed. but everybody was happy. I made sure that everybody was happy so I can leave the frequency for that hologram to manifest. Because people go in the mall to give money, I went in the mall and I made money. Who in the right mind would have thought of that? Because it's infinite of probabilities. And this is the stuff that can happen when you hold that vibration. I'll give you another example. Now, this is with money, a lot of money. We are moving out of state and we're ready to go. The truck is there, we live in, everything is packed. I'm in the car and we're gonna go. All of a sudden, I see a red light in my car. And I said to my husband, there's a red light, what's happening? Sure enough, to make the story short, something was leaking. Oh my God, this car's gotta go in the shop. I'm calling in that the car is fixed. I'm putting the hologram, the end result of it, because I want to allow the quantum structure through infinite probability to give me the end result without me putting a condition. But while I was imagining this, not only I imagined that the car is fixed, but I start feeling happy with the joy because I'm putting out the frequency for that. That's quantum structure knowledge. You have to study this. Is in a quantum, the galactic meditation video. And then after that video in season 4, you have the metaphysics, what you need to do after the other. Believe me, only through this video, you're not going to learn this. You have to practice this. That takes a lot of years of practice for that. Okay. So I pull back, put the energy of that. And then we took the action. I get up and I said, everything is fine. Go here, go there. We went to my neighbor. We sat there. And my husband nonstop started looking for people to pick up the car. Within a couple of hours, the car was picked up in a half an hour from somebody. And we had an open spot in a car dealership that is usually so-called impossible to find spot immediately. 2 hours later, the car was fixed. Within 4 hours, we left. And listen to this. While I'm meditating, doing this, literally somebody calls me on my phone. I'm picking up the phone. I usually don't pick up my phone line because people have to email me to book a session or wait to book a session. Every day you have a session book year ahead. So you got to look at that in the morning to open spots. It's automatic system. But I picked up this phone for some reason. And here I am for 5 minutes. I end up talking to this lady, explaining something. And I did everything possible. I didn't think of money. I didn't think of anything. Literally, I'm closing the phone. I'm not kidding, 5 minutes. I'm closing the phone. Within the next 5 minutes, I'm receiving $500 of donation. I was like ecstatic. Guess how much it cost me to pay the dealership? It cost me $465. And I made $35 or $45, I don't remember, in donation for myself. And this is the stuff that I keep happening through synchronicity. So that's how it works. But you must learn how to control that, because if I panic and I'm completely nervous, I'm going to project of the different frequency, and my manifestation could have come to a completely different outcome. That could take some time, or that could happen instantaneously. The next couple of hours, everything is fixed. And you can have instantaneous when you learn how to do that, when it's necessary, when it's completely no condition. That's the examples.
I'm really glad that you brought up the examples, because I think what that serves to do is support others in cultivating belief. Now, I do also believe that it's in having these sort of experiences for themselves that one is really going to be able to cultivate belief in their power to manifest.
That's right. Yes.
I do want to start bringing things to a close, but I do want just one last thing. And well, first, let me say the practicing of the feeling, the practicing of the emotion of joy, fulfillment, wholeness seems to be the foundation, and then acting from that place. You had mentioned studying the material. Now, I'm curious as to whether you think there's room to overcomplicate things. What more is there for us to discover from that
Oh, yes, they just
foundation?
told you have to leave a room for mistakes. Do not be too harsh on yourself, but be consistent to practice, because eventually this is going to happen. It's going to happen, because there's no way, if you project these frequencies and knowledge into your field, not to manifest. It always manifests, always. So when you learn, give it some time. Don't expect results immediately to happen, and don't leave conditioning to it. Leave it open. You can imagine with precision, but let that manifest the way it must manifest, without conditioning and expectation. Exactly should be this way. It will have aspects of what you want, but believe me, will be the best of how it should be from consciousness and collective itself.
I think just about the perfect way to sum up. Imagine with specificity, with the specific details, but when you approach that moment, you're doing so without judgment of this is better than that. And in that, you stay open from maintaining that sense of fulfillment, joy, regardless.
Challenges through that process are there to mutate something to get to the end result. Never give up through the challenges. They're there to teach you something, and they're there to overcome structures. That curvature of learning, you have to also allow to be there.
Allow the challenges as well. So I do have one last question for you. And just before I do that, well, you've done a great job of pointing us to a host of different of your videos and what's available to us in terms of further expansion. Now, with your quantum manifestation series, if someone was looking to explore that, would you say just start from episode 1 and sequential from there?
Definitely from episode 1. If you wish to be live on my webinar, subscribe to the website, marinajacoby.com. Every Friday night, you will receive a link, and it's every Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, New York. There you can have your questions. I may not be able to answer them because there's a lot of people, but more information you're going to be given through the process, but at the same time, you can study the material from season 1 and so on.
Okay. All right, Marina, I have one last question for you. I call this the grand finale question. Are you ready for it?
Ready.
Marina, you just realized the power to telepathically communicate to all of humanity. What do you say?
I love you all, and from my heart to yours, I love you.
Thank you, Marina, for all that you do, all your service, all your selfless service, for being such a inspiration and leader by example for what it looks like to give from the heart and be in alignment with serving the highest good of all. I'm truly inspired by the way that you approach things, and I know that many others are as well. And I'm hoping that the audience that tunes into this conversation that I had the opportunity to have with you, I'm confident that they will be as well. So once again, thank you for joining me, and keep being you.
Thank you so much. And please send me links for that so I can post it on social media and my YouTube channel.
Will do. Okay.
All
Well,
right.
you have a great rest of your day.
Thank
And
you very
I
much.
hope we get a chance to connect again in the
You
future.
will, sure do. All right.
Take
Bye,
care.
everybody. Bye, world. That's what I say. Bye, world. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye, Marina.
Senders, that is going to be all for this conversation and interview with Marina Jacoby. I hope that this understanding, this metaphysical understanding of the quantum structure and you, the God particle, is able to support you in your conscious creation. Just before we go here, if you've enjoyed the episode and were assisted by it, I do ask that you consider sharing the episode with 3 people that you care about in support of them and their ascension process. Because as you'll hear me say time and time again, we are in this together. And lastly, Ascenders, the invitation's got to go out at least one more time. The Ascend Academy is looking for those that have heard the call to serve a higher purpose, to assist in planetary collective ascension. Our activation process is able to activate in an individual who has heard this call their higher purpose. Head on over to academy.togetherweascend.com to learn more, to apply to become a new member, and initiate your activation. Anyways, Ascenders, that's going to be all for this episode of the Awaken Podcast. Thank you for tuning in, and until next time, keep ascending.